Want to help the channel? Go to shopclownfish.com where you can check out official Clownfish TV merchandise in our brand new shop. It helps us out. Also, check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/clownfishtv for more art and gaming live streams that we don't do on YouTube. We want to see you over there as well. Now let's get into the video. Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. We're gonna do another video talking about Wizards of the Coast and how ironic it is that a company that recently made a big deal about how they were getting rid of racist stereotypes, including orcs and drow, when literally nobody was asking for this, how they're now being accused of being prejudiced themselves by a black freelancer. So this should not surprise anyone. Often when you look into people or companies that put on a big show of being progressive or inclusive or, you know, standing up for women, etc., 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 when you have to tell people you're a good person, you're good people, you're a good company, a lot of times it's a cover, it's a smokescreen. You really aren't. And you know, my guard is up immediately when companies come out and say how good they are, how woke they are, how progressive they are, because I'm like, yeah, what are you hiding? You're obviously hiding something, because a good person doesn't need to broadcast that they're good. So we're going to talk about accusations by a former Wizard of the Coast freelancer who quit due to a hostile work environment. And I have to give a hat tip to No Pony Special, who tweeted this to us. I had actually missed it. I think it dropped yesterday. But really interesting turn of events here, and we're going to talk about it. Before we get into it, a couple of things. One, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Two, I've got this up on the screen for a reason. This is the Basic Fantasy RPG system. And we ordered a bunch of these books. We had someone named Justin reach out to us behind the scenes and say, hey, you can get old school D&D effectively, and you don't have to pay that much for it. You can either go to the website at basicfantasy.org, or you can buy the books on Amazon at cost. The rule book costs like $5. It's print on demand, and it's really pretty excellent. We bought these. The kids have already made up their own characters. And it's old school. It reminds me of the Red Box set from TSR, which I love. That's the D&D I grew up playing before I got into 2nd edition D&D, AD&D. So if you're interested in legit old school D&D without all the weirdness that comes with Wizards of the Coast, this is an option for you. I'm going to put a link to that in the description. So let's talk about this. Wizards of the Coast freelancer quits due to hostile work environment. This is on Tor.com, and we're going to talk about it because there seems to be more to this story than what even Tor is saying. But again, you know, this is in reaction to Wizards putting out this statement about how they're going to address racist stereotypes in Dungeons and Dragons that literally nobody asked for. They're going to have sensitivity readers come in and make sure that their monsters aren't racist. You know, 30, 40 years of Dungeons and Dragons. Are we going on 50? We might be going on 50 years. But yeah, they're gonna banish racist stereotypes. They're gonna get rid of the drow, or they're gonna change the drow. They're gonna change the orcs so they're not racist stereotypes. They even banned an episode of Community where Chang is dressed as a drow because they said it was blackface. Really, nobody who actually plays D&D is asking for these changes, and I want to point that out first before we get into this. That the person who is calling for the banishment of orcs, doesn't even play D&D. I mean, this blows my mind that Wizards of the Coast is kowtowing to somebody on Twitter who has ACAB in their username, who doesn't even play D&D. They just want something to bitch about. Quinn Welsh Wilson, the person who started the recent controversy surrounding orcs depictions in Dungeons and Dragons, recently admitted that the role-playing game isn't even his game of choice. Welsh Wilson, who's the host of Arms of Tide podcast, claimed the description of orcs in Dungeons & Dragons is racist. Okay, so he does play it, but it's not his game of choice. Following Welsh Wilson, a number of others, including comicbook.com, Monkey Paw Games, Riot Games writer Dante Douglas, and others would pile on, accusing orcs of being racist. Not only would Welsh Wilson accuse Dungeons & Dragons' description of orcs of racism, but he would also accuse Professor of Psychology Chris Ferguson of being a slavery defender. The accusation came after Ferguson penned a piece in Psychology Today arguing against the idea that orcs are racist. More telling is that Welsh Wilson admits D&D isn't even his game of choice. After detailing some other critiques of Dungeons & Dragons, Welsh Wilson wrote, "This is also why D&D is overwhelmingly not my game of choice." So someone pointed out on Twitter that Welsh Wilson appears to be the latest in a string of individuals who decide to attack hobbies and franchises that they don't really care about in order to radically alter those hobbies and franchises in order to adhere to their vision of what they should be. This happens. They come into comics, they come into gaming, they come into video games, they're pushing into anime, they're pushing into manga. They really don't care about the hobby. They don't care about the game. They just want to get some high fives on Twitter. That's what this is about. So this faux outrage over racist orcs spilled over into the real world, and Dungeons & Dragons, Wizards of the Coast caved. Now, Wizards of the Coast has been quote-unquote woke for quite some time, especially when it comes to Magic the Gathering. I don't really admittedly follow Magic the Gathering. I've seen some videos on, kind of what's going on, but I've never really been a fan of Magic the Gathering. But D&D, I'm a longtime fan of D&D and AD&D from back in the day, and I wanted to get my kids back into playing the game, and I dipped back in. I'm like, oh my god, it's gone insane. Wizards of the Coast has gone insane. And not surprisingly, it's all lip service, because this happens time and time again. Anytime anyone comes out, leads with, "I'm a good person, honest. I'm not a liar. I'm not a racist. I'm not a sexual deviant. I'm a good person. You can trust me." Immediately put your guard up, because if somebody's got to tell you they're good people, they're probably not good people. Here we go. This is coming from Tor.com. Game designer Orion D. Black has left their job at Wizards of the Coast Dungeons & Dragons department, calling out the company for paying lip service toward diversity and change while exploiting BIPOC, especially black freelancers, and silencing and ignoring criticism of systemic problems. This comes within a month of members of the RPG community asking for more accountability at the company, highlighting interactions with Wizards of the Coast online and in gaming and professional environments. In a substantial critique published on TwitLonger, the Plot Armor and Mutants of the Night creator wrote that they wouldn't recommend anyone work for the D&D department at Wizards of the Coast. "Kindness doesn't replace respect. Working within your comfort zone doesn't support change," they wrote in the statement. "Most people in that group were not ready for me to be there. A non-binary black person who would actually critique their problems. I don't know what they expected." In the statement, Black wrote that they firmly believe they were a diversity hire whose presence was accepted because it would look like a radical positive change that would help quiet vocal outrage. What vocal outrage? This guy? Is that the vocal outrage? That one guy who's causing problems on Twitter? While there, they wrote, "There was no expectation for me to do much of anything from leadership, who at one point gave them 2 assignments over about 5 months and refused to give them an extension and FTE. They also wrote that someone in leadership stole their work, which destroyed me. The only response being an apology and directly passed on from another employee, and despite a lot of smiles and vocal support from coworkers," they wrote, "Black continued to be ignored by leadership, who talked about treating staff better and investing in diversity, even as they hired 2 cisgender white men in major positions, one of whom claimed that he didn't know what he's doing." Well, this is the problem. I always think the best person should get the job, and that you should be absolutely colorblind, gender blind to who that person is. Whoever is the best, whoever is going to bring the best to the company should get the job. Then, as social unrest continued, globally due to BLM. The DnD team comes out with their statement. Yes, their statement about inclusion and how they're going to change orcs, because that's going to help. You know, that's going to help, because a white dude on Twitter complained about orcs. They're going to hire sensitivity readers. Were there a lot of minorities complaining about orcs? I don't think anybody was complaining about orcs and drow. I'd never heard of it until the faux Twitter outrage. It was like a slap in the face, Black continued, in reference to a statement published mid-June by Wizards of the Coast. How much they care about people of color, how much changing things that I and others have been pushing for months, if not longer, was just going to happen now. It took weeks of protesting across the globe to get D&D to do what people they hired had already been telling them to fix. You cannot say Black Lives Matter when you cannot respect the black people who you exploit at a third of your pay for progressive ideas you pick apart until it's comfortable for your millions of profits year over year. People of color can make art and freelance but are never hired. D&D takes what they want from marginalized people, gives them scraps, and claims progress. Roughly a month before Black's statement, podcast host and gamer Lawrence Harmon wrote a statement to Wizards of the Coast following a series of tweets made by their Magic Esports Twitter account meant to highlight Black Magic the Gathering players. By and large, Wizards of the Coast has ignored the existence of its black player base, and we're keenly aware. The aforementioned gesture was a gross act of tokenism that were not only lambasted by Black Magic players, but were also noticed by the community at large. So, yeah, this happens all the time. Again, anytime a company, anytime a brand comes out with a statement about how good they are, or, you know, major changes, sweeping changes they're going to suddenly make, you know they're hiding something. This is Disney too. Disney makes all these gestures and all talks about all this change, but we know what they did to Finn in Star Wars. You know, they shrunk him down the poster for China, presumably, so the movie would make more money in China. They covered up Chadwick Boseman's face on the poster for Black Panther for Chinese audiences because they wanted them to go. You know, but then Disney throws a bunch of money and makes a bunch of changes to rides that nobody asked for. So maybe, I'm just putting this out there. Maybe ask actual black people what they want and or expect, and not just presume, and not just listen to, you know, like this guy on Twitter. I don't know, that would be my takeaway. But Orion D. Black apparently didn't do a whole lot of work, as they said. That Orion only did a couple assignments. I realized at one point leadership had only given me 2 assignments over about 5 months. It was mostly me asking project leads for work, searching out opportunities. Leadership really didn't care about me at all or my growth. So Wizards of the Coast did respond. They did respond through their PR guy, through their communications guy, Greg Tito. This should not have happened the way it did, and I'll continue to fight so it does not happen again. I'm sorry if I let you down, Orion. You deserved better. So, yeah, not surprising at all. You know, this is the way that these companies work. This is the way these companies think. You know, and I don't know who Wizards of the Coast is trying to please. Again, the changes they're making, nobody's asking for. It almost feels like a troll. Not the D&D kind of troll, but it feels like they were being trolled on Twitter, and they caved. They caved, and now they're, you know, hiring sensitivity readers and junk, you know, after they sidelined a black freelancer. Not surprising at all. I think I'm out of Wizards of the Coast for now until they get their shit together. You know, I just think it's a mess. And plus, I don't like 5e. So for us, for me and my kids, we're going to just pick up basic fantasy, which is really, really awesome. We're going to play that. It feels like 80s D&D without all of the baggage that Wizards of the Coast has now, and I will put a link to that in the description. You can check it out for yourself, or check it out on the website at basicfantasy.org. I'm going to wrap this one up, and we'll talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.